Alright, Shalom, Kwahala, Yahweh Bashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakwakwadush. Double honors to the head apostles of Great Millstone at Ruel, and peace and salutations to the Yakim out there on the highways and byways, north in this road abroad, all around the world. Now I want to talk about, famine, because famine is coming to America, you know, contrary to what people believe. Famine, cannibalism is coming to America because when there's no food, people are going to turn to eating each other. People are going to turn to eating their own kids. So this is what's coming to America. Though it may not seem like it and everything is hunky-dory and things are going to just go as they seem, but there's going to be an event in the near future that's going to trigger this famine, So, without further ado, because this thing happened in the past, famine happened in the past, and if it happened in the past, then it's going to happen in the future. Because that old saying goes, when history repeats itself. So history is gonna really repeat itself, in these upcoming last days before our Lord Yahweh Shai comes and deliver his hopeful elect, Lord's will, we are those men. But let me just get into the scriptures. It's gonna be 2 Kings chapter 6 verse 24. And it reads, "And it came to pass after this day that Benhadad, king of Syria, gathered all his host and went up to besiege Samaria." Verse 25. "And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a crab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver." So this is what they were eating, Pretty much you're not going to get much, you ain't going to get too much meat off of an ass's head, You ain't going to get no meat off of that. And this is what they were eating. They were eating crabs of dung, dove's dung, dove's droppings, shit, This is what they're eating. And this is what's going to resort back to when that famine comes, This is what people will be eating. Never, they'll never think in a million years that they will be eating you will never be eating these kind of things, but this is what people are going to be eating in those days. Not to mention, they're going to be eating their own kids and eating their own, eating their own dogs, their pets, This is what's going to happen in these upcoming days, And these people really don't even know it, because what Esau's doing, he's putting it all in your face when you're watching these movies like Z Nation or World War Z, or all these zombie movies, all these apocalypse movies, where it shows that zombies are eating other people, people eating other people and things like that. So that's what it's gonna resort to, They're putting all these apocalypse movies and all these scenarios in these movies, and they're not doing it for nothing, because they're telling the people that these things are about to come to pass, that these things will come to pass, Just like the situation over there in Masada, when we fled from the Romans, we fled into the mountains of Masada, where they couldn't get us. So what they did was they blocked the whole road where nothing was going in and nothing was coming out. So people will resulted to eating their own kids, eating their own babies, eating the leather straps of their belt, eating the leaves. So cannibalism is coming to America. And if it happened in the past, it's going to happen in the future. But reading on. So, verse 26. "And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the walls, they cried a woman unto him, saying, Help me, help my lord, O king." Verse 27. And he said, if the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? You see? Even there's nothing your presidents or your senators or your mayors or your governors ain't gonna do in that day, because y'all people are gonna go to the government and go to the senators, for help. And the scriptures tell it clearly says in the book of Isaiah. Let me get that real quick. Let me get that quick in Isaiah. I think it's chapter 31, verse 1. This is what it says in Isaiah chapter 31, verse 1. It says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, to stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in the horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither shall seek the Lord. You see? Here it is, this woman is seeking man, but yet she's not seeking the Lord. So he responded, if the Lord does not help thee, when shall I help thee? Why is the Lord not helping? Because in the time when they had the abundance and they was living all good and lovely, they weren't thinking about the Lord. They weren't thinking about Yahweh Bashem Yahushai when they were living their best life. It's only when some type of hell and tribulation or some type of anguish cometh upon them, that's when they want to call upon Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But the Lord ain't going to hear you. The Lord is not going to hear you in that day. So that king replied unto that woman, saying, if the Lord does not help thee, when shall I help thee? Out of the barn flood, or out of the wasper, the winepress, winepress. Verse 28. And the king said unto her, What addeth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son that we may eat him to this day, and I will eat my son tomorrow. So, verse 29. So we boiled my son, and I did eat him. And I said unto her, On the next day, give thy son, that we may eat him. And she had hid her son. You see? This is when they were boiling their own children. This is cannibalism, This is cannibalism at its finest. Why were they doing this? Because there was no food to eat. Just like in these last days, when that upcoming event happens, where it could take place as an EMP, where everything just completely gets shut down, and this world that we know as we're living in goes back to the dark ages, goes back to the stone ages, which goes back to the 19th century, because when that EMP happens, everything would get shut down, and everything would get pushed back to the 19th century. So these events is coming. So here is this woman. She's asking the king for justice, because what had happened was that when it came time to eat the other woman's child, as they agreed upon, she hid her son. So now she's begging and asking for help. But there's not gonna be no help. Just like you people out there, you're gonna be seeking for help and seeking for some type of, justice, but there's not gonna be no law and order and no justice in that day, There's just gonna be complete utter chaos, There's not gonna be no law enforcement, There's not gonna be any court jesters, There's not gonna be any prosecution in that day, All of that stuff will be done away with, You're just gonna be on your own. Like the saying goes, it's just gonna be every man for himself in that day. It's just gonna be every man for himself, and you women, If y'all don't have a man of the Lord, if y'all ain't with a man of the Lord in that day, y'all just gonna get caught out there, just like that movie in that movie The Road showed, you know, when that woman wanted to go astray from her husband, and what happened, you know, she was just prey, you know, she was a sheep among the wolves, and that's how it's gonna be in that day. It's gonna, for you women that are caught out there by yourself, it's gonna be like the wolf coming for the sheep, you know. A sheep is a defenseless animal, you know. A sheep can't defend itself, and that's how you women gonna be. Y'all won't be able to defend yourselves. You know, you gonna need a man of the Lord in that day to protect you. You're gonna have to be under a man's wing in that day, because like the scripture says, a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind. What is that wind? This destruction that's coming upon the earth. You know, like hence this famine that's coming. You're gonna have to be on the a man of the Lord's wing. Because that's gonna be your shield and buckler in that day. Like you women would like to brag and boast and say, "Oh, I don't need a man. I don't need no man to protect me. I could do bad all by myself." But all that bullshit and all that independence, women's liberation, all that strong black woman, whatever you want to call it, is gonna be done away with in that day. It's gonna be totally done away with, because of the famine and destruction and all kind of stuff is gonna happen. So reading on. Verse 30. And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes, and he passed by upon the wall. And the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh, And what does that sackcloth mean? When a king rents his sackcloth, he's in a position of mourning, He's in a position of mourning. He's not in a position where, he's glorified, or, he's being glorified. He's in a position where he's mourning, So that's what that represents. So if these kings, or if these senators, ain't gonna be able to help you in those days, and that's where the people are gonna go to for help, and especially our people, the great majority of our people, that's where they're gonna run to. Here it is, they were living their best life, enjoying life, like that old motto says, you only live once, enjoy life, because you only live once. But in that day, they're gonna be begging for Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, our people, mainly our people. But the Lord ain't gonna hear them in that day. So with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakwadash, double honors to the head apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to the Yakim out there in the highways and byways, noise in this word abroad. And with that, I want to say shalom.